Hello everyone and welcome to the Monster Report, a show highlighting those entertaining creatures of film history. Your host Nick Adam Poling here, and I'm joined by my son,
Eli Adam Poling.
Yeah, good to have you, Eli. And today we've got a trailer drop, so we're going to not react to the trailer, but we are going to give our impressions or our first reactions to what we saw. Hopefully you've already had the chance to see it out there, so check it out. I'll put a link in the description, of course. So it's real short, obviously. It's a teaser trailer. So Godzilla Minus One.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that title?
Godzilla Minus One. It sort of reminds me of a bit more like just another way of saying Godzilla -1.
-1, yeah. In fact, that I think a lot of people are thinking, why did it get to be called that? In fact, I think the first impressions or first idea of this movie was it was going to be called Godzilla Zero.
Yeah, Godzilla Zero instead of -1.
So they went one more into the negative, so -1, but there's a reason why it's called that. Now, the very short trailer you saw, what was your first impressions of the destruction and, of course, the reveal of Godzilla?
Well, if the first reveal, it's like it's like right here, it's like on the sides of the mouth.
Yeah.
It would be almost it would be blocked by this slide of skin.
You got a real close-up of his mouth, didn't you?
Yeah. It kind of looks a little hideous.
And his feet. Now, obviously, we've got Godzilla the Ride X Plus figure here because that is what the design is based on. And in fact, the director of this film is also the director of the Godzilla the Ride VR experience, the 3D experience that you get to go if we go to Japan someday and actually get to experience that. But there's footage out there, of course, of it, and so you see that design. So somewhat predictably, we saw this coming, actually, that this was going to be the version of Godzilla. Were you expecting maybe to see something more along the lines of Shin Godzilla?
Yeah, it's like I am having a feeling when the titles of Shin Godzilla and Godzilla Zero, they almost look very related together.
Yeah, almost like let's take a real serious look at it. And in fact, this is the first Japanese Godzilla movie since Shin Godzilla 2016. I'm going to read a little bit from the Sci-Fi Japan article, which is a direct press release from Toho, and I'll link that in the article as well. So there's a lot of really good information in this. Of course, the director of this, and I want to make sure I say his name right, he directed, of course, like Godzilla the Ride we've talked about, and then Always Sunset on 3rd Street, which has a dream sequence of Godzilla. And so that is, of course, Takashi Yamazaki. Takashi Yamazaki, who's also a Academy Award winner of several awards in Japan. So he's a real serious director. I kind of think of, maybe his style as somewhat, maybe an American director might be close to Christopher Nolan, who did the Dark Knight trilogy and Interstellar, things like that. So they took a real serious approach to it. And the way that this article reads is it's going to be a very serious live action. In fact, this is the 30th Godzilla film of the live action Toho Godzilla films, because we have, of course, some American Godzilla movies, like Godzilla King of the Monsters, the 2014 Godzilla, Godzilla vs. Kong, so we have those. Of course, we have Godzilla 98, but we don't count those when we talk about the Japanese Godzilla movies. And so, one of the things they talk about in the press release, the worst despair series history, the worst despair in the series history strikes Japan. So basically, Japan, after the war, is devastated. And so they're basically down to zero. Like, they couldn't get more rock bottom. And then Godzilla shows up, and that brings them to negative, or -1. So, they're even worse. And so, they talk about in this, after the war, Japan has been reduced to zero. Godzilla appears and plunges the country into a negative state. The most desperate situation in the history of Japan. Who and how will Japan stand up to it? And so, basically, it's a desperate Japan. What will they do to defend themselves from Godzilla? And, the fear that he strikes in them. And when desperate people are struck with fear, and they got nothing else to lose, what will they do? And so that makes it kind of interesting, to see what that story is going to be like. And so did you kind of get that idea from all the destruction in the trailer?
Yeah, the destruction, just mashing tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Bash, 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 bash.
Well, there was careful. There was the close-up of his feet that really showed the destruction that Godzilla, and I love how it cuts to it real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of scares you, a jump scare almost.
Yeah,
and so,
huge freak out.
Yeah, and so shows Godzilla in this film, which is being unveiled for the first time, looking wild and godlike. The words "from nothing, zero to negative minus" foreshadows an unimaginable crisis. The 30-second trailer shows the scene of Japan being destroyed by Godzilla after the war, with no signs of recovery in sight. The Godzilla that strikes down Japan in this film is strong, scary, and almost divine. And so in that poster art, the G, that we have there, there's the Godzilla the Ride inside of the G there, so very cool. And what's even cooler is in the US, we're going to see this on December 1st. In Japan, they're going to see it on Godzilla Day in early November, so we're only going to see it less than a month after Japan gets to see it. A lot of the times, we have to wait a lot longer before we get our version in the US, so not long at all. So December 1st of 2023, this year, as of the time of this recording, on a Friday, we get to see Godzilla Minus One. Are you going to be there at the theater?
With
me? Yeah, that's right. We're going to be seeing Godzilla on the big screen, a Japanese Godzilla film.
Last Japanese movie we saw was the Ultraman Shin.
Shin Ultraman, that's right. And so, so I'm really excited about seeing what director Takashi Yamazaki does with this version of Godzilla and what he does with this serious look. In fact, I've heard people say in comments and kind of gossip circles or whatever that this is to be a masterpiece Godzilla film. He talks about how it's a film that he doesn't want people just to go and watch, but experience. And so it's going to take you out of your comfort zone and out of where you are, in middle America here, suburbia, in our nice comfortable homes and all of that, and put us right into the destruction of the Godzilla the Ride here, the very strong and menacing looking Godzilla. Love this figure, and I'm so glad that I picked it up, that it's part of the collection, and now, now it has a legacy that's coming with this new Godzilla film. Final thoughts on this one, and we'll wrap it up for the day.
When you say that they say it's a masterpiece and the director takes it really seriously, it reminds me of Shin Godzilla. They take his fire breath way too seriously. It's like lasers coming out of his back, even a laser coming out of his own tail.
Right. That was a serious Godzilla, wasn't it?
Yeah, literally, there's this piece of this piece of a thin air that you could barely see the laser between the laser and Godzilla's mouth.
In fact, what the thing about it, we actually have a roar in this Godzilla film, at least in this teaser trailer. It was brief, but it sounds like the traditional Godzilla roar we're used to. Shin Godzilla had a very traditional roar. The legendary Godzilla took a different approach to it. Some other Godzillas have had different roars, so we at least got a roar. I'm curious about what the fire breath is going to look like in this, because some of the Godzillas have had different versions of the fire breath.
Some are blue, some are white, and some are blank whites. They did inside. You've probably never seen the trailer, Godzilla versus Gigan Rex.
Oh, they've seen it. Yeah, they have absolutely
seen it. If you haven't seen the trailer, Godzilla versus Gigan Rex, is just his breath just goes completely blank white.
Right. So, white hot. So, blue, white, and in Shin Godzilla, some purple, and even just the fire look to it.
Yeah.
Just more of a flame fire rather than a radioactive fire, which I kind of think that the radioactive fire works along the lines of this. Gamera breathes more like a plasma kind of fire, so it's more like the orange-reddish kind of hue to it. But Godzilla, of course, his fire, being radioactive, is going to look a little more unworldly, out of this world. So yeah.
And of course of Gamera's breath, you've seen it's just like a untwined. It's like going into his mouth instead of out.
And what's
in
cool,
the black and white.
Yeah, and what's cool is we've had some really good, serious Gamera films in the 90s, the Heisei series, and of course we had Shin Godzilla, but I'd really like to see, the version of Godzilla like this that is more of a traditional look, not, the veiny red kind of, veins popping sort of death metal version of Godzilla and Shin Godzilla, but more of what we expect to see Godzilla to look like, with his scales, with his dorsal fins, the way that this is kind of laid out, not with the little arms, I'd like to see him, bulky the way he is, and this crazy long tail that you would get, of course, that just kind of goes on and on. So, we're going to wrap this up and tell everyone, of course, what they've got to do when they're leaving this video is to
like, subscribe, comment down below what you think of think of our videos, and
they got to follow us.
Yeah, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
And that's it. You got them.
That's it.
And of course, right here on YouTube.
And don't forget to check out our t-shirts.
Yeah, we got merch for you. It's in the links in the description. And so thank you so much for supporting the Monster Report and all we do here. This has been Nick Adam Poling and Eli Adam Poling. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to seeing the next trailer drop or any news that comes out of Japan on Godzilla Minus One. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you on another episode of the Monster Report.
Bye.